Janis Joplin. At least the Janis Joplin of Whitefield High School, class of 1969. You remember Janis, Cheap Thrills album. Take another little piece of my heart now, baby. You know you got it if it makes you feel good. Oh, my voice came easy then. Easy in the way of Janis Joplin, Joni Mitchell, Grace Slick, Judy Collins, Patsy Cline. And now I have the voice of Tom Waits. If you don't know Tom Waits, his voice has been described as having been soaked in Nevada bourbon, hung out in the smokehouse to dry, and then taken outside and run over by a car. That about says it. My voice draws attention. Oh, a smoker. There's some good parts to having a voice like this. Benefit number one, I can be the man of the house for those telephone solicitors. And when those Jehovah's Witnesses knock at my door and I answer, they're not quite sure what to do with me. I can tell them I'm very sick and have a very bad cold. I didn't always speak like this, but the way I speak now is by vibrating my esophagus. Go figure. Who'd know I'd need to know how to do that? But I do. And this white thing, this white button that I push, that enables me to speak. Basically, all this is a filter. The best part about this filter is it keeps out the fruit flies. I bet you wish you had one. People ask me if it hurts me to talk, and it does not hurt me at all. But thank you for wondering. It is easier for me to talk without the filter, so I'm going to remove it. And there you have it, unplugged. In the spring of 2006, I had a small lump on the side of my neck, but it was nothing. In fact, I even had a needle biopsy, which told me it was nothing specific, so I didn't think about it too much anymore. Although my dear husband Mike kept reminding me that I kept clearing my throat. I didn't know I was doing it, but he would say, "You're doing it again. Please get that checked out." And so I did. I went to see an ENT doctor, an otolaryngologist, a word I've become very fluent with saying. And I explained to Dr. Galloway that no, I was not a smoker. And no, I was not a drinker. And no, I wasn't much of an exerciser either, but I was in relatively good shape and felt that I was quite healthy. He told me he was going to stick a laryngoscope, which is a very small camera, up my nose, which would eventually find its way down my throat. I think it came down to here. Thought maybe I could get the pap smear at the same time. So, are you having trouble breathing? Dr. Galloway asked me. No. Why? I managed to eke out, even though the teeny tiny camera now felt like the hose that comes out of the back of my dryer. Why do you ask? And he said, you have a growth just under your vocal cords that is occluding a good third of your airway. Would you like to see it? Well, hell yes, I wanted to see it. And hell no, I never I saw it. And so did 7 of the other doctors in that practice who were called in to take a look, because this was a very rare occurrence. Oh, it was a big day at the ENT office, and I was the star. Dr. Galloway explained to me about the cricoid cartilage, which is the only cartilage in our neck that forms a complete circle. I don't know why I always do this. You know what a circle is. And the main purpose of the cricoid cartilage is to hold the airway in place. Pretty damn important thing, this cricoid cartilage. He referred me for a surgical biopsy to Denver to an otolaryngologist by the name of Dr. Song. You can't make this stuff up either. Mike and I thought that was pretty humorous to have a throat doctor called Song. We were really searching for some humor about then. Getting a little bit tense in the spring of 2006. On July 26th, 2006, my 55th birthday. Yes, I'm 63. You don't have to do the math. I'll do it for you. Dr. Song called us into his office and he said, "You have a very rare cancer. It is a chondrosarcoma of the cricoid cartilage. Chondrosarcoma is a type of bone cancer, and it was in the cartilage of my neck." Whoa. At the time of my diagnosis, there had been something like 200 cases in the literature ever of this kind of cancer in this kind of location. So I felt very special. And while the cancer itself was very rare, the cure was pretty straightforward. A total laryngectomy. Okay, whatever a laryngectomy is, I don't know. Well, I learned that what they would do would be to remove the small growth, and they would remove the entire cricoid cartilage, and they would remove my vocal cords, and they would remove my larynx, my voice box. And just for the heck of it, let's take half of your thyroid too. Okay, but how will I speak? Oh, well, that's another story. I tell you, this was my birthday. A birthday to remember. And then remember that important cricoid cartilage that holds the airway. Well, with that gone, what are we going to do with the airway? Oh, I know. We'll divert it through a hole in your neck. A hole in your 55-year-old neck that you're already starting to hate. Just wait. So, at that point, my world fell apart, and Mike's world fell apart. I had been a human resources administrator since 1983. I'd been a legal secretary for 20 years before that. I was a recruiter, a teacher, a public speaker, a trainer. I was the loudmouth of our marriage. Hell, I was the loudmouth of all my friends. And I was a singer. They couldn't take away my voice. I consulted with many professionals, finally ending up with the decision to have my surgery at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston because I believed they were top-notch. And I was holding out a hope that at the last minute, their research would say, we have a new thing we can try. But that didn't happen. So my surgery would be in a month. I had 30 days to contact friends, old friends, to tell them what was going on, to let them know things were going to be different. I might not be in touch. I was so afraid. I was afraid of the surgery. I understood it would be 7 or 8 hours. I was afraid of my appearance. I was afraid to have a hole in the front of my neck. I was afraid of what my voice would sound like. I was afraid my voice wouldn't sound like anything. I was afraid I would never speak again. I thought about, my grandchildren would never hear my real voice. Now I'm wondering if I'll ever have grandchildren. And this is my real voice, damn it. But mostly what I was afraid of, well, 2 things. One was losing my identity that I was so tied into with my voice. I used my voice for everything. The other thing I was so afraid of was suffocation. How was I going to know how to breathe through my neck? I didn't know that. I woke up at night during that month at 3 a.m, soaking wet, gasping for air, not knowing how I was going to know how to breathe. I felt surely something would go wrong. Hell, I was afraid of taxes. But then I had the surgery, and I remember vividly the moment that I gained consciousness from surgery. And I looked at Mike, and Mike looked at me, and he looked tired, and he looked worried, but he looked relieved. And I wanted to say, I'm okay. But there was no sound coming out of me. And he had goggles on, and a gown, and a mask, and gloves. I had tubes coming out of my throat, out of my stoma, a word I can finally now start to say. I've not liked the word, but it means hole, and that's what it is. I had chest tubes. I had a catheter, of course. I had compression wraps around my legs, and I had metal staples running from ear to ear. And I could not move my head except by grabbing my hair and lifting it up because my neck muscles had been so decimated. It was a dark week in the hospital, especially when I would ring the call button and they would say, "Yes, what can I help you with?" I was released from the hospital after 7 days. And I was fitted with a small prosthesis, which is a small plastic device about the size of a thimble. And it goes inside here, and it sits on the wall between my esophagus and my trachea. It enables me to move air up to my mouth, where the words are formed. So I'm very fortunate to be able to speak at all. And while I was able to speak quite immediately upon placement of the prosthesis, I was horrified at the sound of my voice. I hated it, and I cried. Excuse me. And I cried a lot that first couple of weeks. And I turned very inward and knew I had a lot of work to do if I were going to keep on living with the joy for life that I had. And I did, by the way, so, don't cry. I eventually found my humor, which humor has always been my go-to place. Often I use it incorrectly, or I'm an embarrassment to my husband, but it has saved my life. I mean, who can't have a kernel of humor in the fact that I blow my nose out of a hole in my neck? And I could never fail much less even take a breathalyzer test. CPR, either doing it to me or have me doing it to you, that takes on a whole new level of thinking. I can't even blow out a candle or cool my food or whistle. And I can't cuss when my hands are full. There's nothing that happens there. It's just vacant space where things would connect. So as you all clear your throat, appreciate that you can do that. I can't do that. So that's why it sounds like I'm gagging and coughing and sick, but I'm really just clearing my throat. My daughter, Robin, was 25 at the time of my surgery. She made for me a beautiful box. It's about the size of a shoebox. It's lined with red velvet. And when it opens, a music box plays. I left my heart in San Francisco. I guess there weren't any songs about larynxes that she knew. There's a sign in the box, and it says, "For my mother. Everybody needs a voice box. This is yours." Obviously, it is my most favorite possession and a constant reminder of how my cancer unleashed the creative voice of my own daughter. I was still looking for my voice, so I enrolled at Bikespeed Community College in the sign language program. And I decided I'd be a great candidate for sign language. And my good friend Sandy over here is the one who got me through that goddamn class. And I was terrible. I was terrible with sign language. But the thing that I really got from that was how important facial expressions are, and how, you can get your point across by using your face, even if your voice doesn't have very much range. And you can tell my voice doesn't have very much range. But there was still something missing, and that was music. I could not listen to singing after my surgery for a good year. It just made me too sad, because I was always a singer. I knew every harmony to every country western song, every Grace Slick song, every Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young harmony. None of them went by me. And I needed music. About 4.5 years ago, I found West African drumming. I'm not the founder of West African drumming. But I found it for me. And I found it with a lot of the people in this room. And I can't tell you how touched I am that you're all here. Drumming has really helped me to find my voice. It's an extension of my voice. It's how I yell, and it's how I get the rhythm out of my body that so needs to express itself. Because you see, I cannot laugh out loud. I cannot make laughing sounds. But people that know me and love me think I laugh all the time. So I laugh with my face, and I hit my leg, and I make motions, and I use my face. But I can't laugh out loud. And I can't cry out loud either. And that's something that many of you would never know about me. There's no sobbing when you don't have the internal parts of your throat. I cry and I get tears, but I can't make any sound unless I go, wah, That's not right. And I can't sing the way I would like to sing either. So I choose to sing with my drum and with my heart.